This will be part 13 in the 6-cycle oddball series. We're going to make the governor linkage, the little link that holds the exhaust valve open when the engine is not firing. So this is the link here, and due to the magic of Jim in his videos, we can show you the link before we make it. And there it is. So I'll show you how I did this, and we also are going to make the little hold downs, which are nothing but a little brass piece, the bolt through it. So as usual, I've cut the piece to exact size, this way, and put some bluing on it. And now I'm going to lay it out, and the first thing I'm going to do is put all the holes in it, and while it's still square. And the last thing I'm going to do is cut it out, because if you cut it out before, it's very hard to hold it and locate the things. So I'm going to locate them, drill them all, and we'll show you how that's done. So what I've done is I've changed all the dimensions from fractions to decimals. And I was really wondering why he used decimal fractions on this instead. I bet you he was a woodworker, and you use a tape measure and you use fractions instead of decimals. And so that's the way he was used to drawing plans. So I've added quite a few dimensions to this to make it easy for myself. And I'm going to lay out this slot, that slot, and the corners where the radiuses will be a 1/4 inch hole. And that's 1, 2, 3/4 inch holes I'll be doing. Okay, this will be the center for this slot here. And then the other slot is up 162.5. 1 inch, 62.5. So I got the prick punch marks on there, and what I'm going to do is put it in the vise here and spot drill it, and then I'll show it to you afterwards and explain a couple of things. Okay, so there's the spots. This is a radius corner here, that's a radius corner, and that's just a radius corner, and these are the 2 slots. So the slotting position is very important, and make the piece to size first, that's important. But how you cut the shape of this out isn't really that important. So if you want to make it a little thicker or a little thinner, that's fine, as long as you've got the 2 slots and you've got this notch in the right place. The first thing we're going to do is drill the 1/8 inch holes for the slots. Now, actually I'm going to do those with an end mill, but I'm going to drill 2 holes first so I know what the limit of the slot is. Now I'll open up the 1/4 inch hole. First I'm going to do them 3/16 and then 1/4. Now I'm going to move this over to the milling machine. So I have to use very thin parallels here because this is right close to the edge, and I don't want to go into my parallels, so I'm using a 32nd, I think they're a 32nd of an inch thick. And we got to put in an 1/8 inch in. Now, the vertical position of these slots is important, but the width of them makes no difference at all. So you can just do it by eye. It's just the vertical position is important. If they're a little too big, it doesn't matter. If they're a little too small, you'll have to make them bigger. But okay, there's the first one. There's the 2 slots. Now what I'm going to do is finish drawing the outside of this, the outside perimeter of this. And I got to get one more slot up in here. I'll have to mark that. But that's the same cutter. It's an 1/8 inch slot. I'm just doing this by eye. I got 2 lines on there. I'm lining the cutter up with it. So there's the slot. Now I can draw this and cut it out. This is 1 inch high. I'm going a 1/16 higher than that because it's not much engaged, and it's always easy to grind that 1/16 off if it's too much. But I'm going to make it a 1/16 longer. 5 plus 62. So while it's still square, I'm going to take an end mill and run across here and make that cut, because it's very hard to do that with a bandsaw. So I'm just going to put in a 3/16 end mill and run right across that line. I'm taking cuts of about 20 thousandths at a time with this. It is the slot, and the rest I'm going to do in the bandsaw. So I'm sawing this off and leaving the line, and I just sand up to the line with the 1 inch belt sander. So there it is, but I see we made a mistake. I should have cut this there's a little notch here too. It's better be cut back. So I'm gonna have to put this back in the mill and do that. I should have done that before. So yeah, that's all right. I'm gonna run up there and just go up to that line. It said 60 thousandths thick, so it'll be about 3 cuts. So there it is, 1/16 deep. First I'm going to put a fresh belt on this because I got to do some real cutting. This belt's been on there quite a while, so. It got a little hot, so I had to cool it off. Looks pretty nice now already, and I can touch it up more and polish it later, but that's the basic shape. Something else that I didn't do is this. You're taking 25 thousandths deep off of this end here, so where it fits into the slot. So I have to set up and do that, so I'll show you how I do it. All I did is put it in the vise this way. And this isn't really critical. It depends on how wide your slot is, I think. Probably could get away without doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Around 25, I'll go down 15 first, I'll go down to 25. So there it is. So it's only 100 thousandths thick here. So what I'm going to do is just go around and take off the sharp edges of this with a piece of sandpaper, and then I'll polish it up and it'll be finished. Now this part doesn't show very much. You can't see it. It's underneath the cylinder, so you don't have to go crazy on this, but get the tool marks out of it, make it sort of pretty. I like to polish things up probably beyond what they should be, but you don't want to leave any sharp edges because it might cause it to hang up. You can see I'm not taking a heck of a lot off of here, just enough to get the sharp edges off. Make it look like I made it on purpose. this part is going to go into a notch that's right there. And so you basically have to make this plate and put it all together and then make a mark with a scriber right here and then use that to make your notch. So I'm going to take this apart now and put the notch in there for this to slide into. So now what we got to do is make the notch up into here for that to fit into, and I'll get the dimensions on that. So in the plan it says to see text about this notch, and what it tells you in the text is what I showed you. You put it together, make the mark, and then you mark it so it's 5/16 of an inch deep, and put the notch in. It can be a little oversized, it doesn't matter. So there's 5/16. I should have put some bluing on it so you can see it on the camera, but it's marked there. I'm just going to go in there by eye and make that 5/16 deep. So here again, I'm going to line that up by eye. I've got the line, brought the mill down to it, and it's going to be, I'm going to make it about 2 or 3 thousandths oversized so that the piece will fit in there nicely. That piece is strong enough so that it doesn't need any support on either side. So that's just a slot to allow it to pass through. So I've got the depth there. I'm just going to put a stop on here so I don't go over. It makes it faster for me to cut the slot. There's quite a few passes involved here. I can only take about 20 at a time because it's an 1/8 inch end mill, and I could break it if I was too aggressive. So now I'm just going to move it about 3 or 4 thousandths that way and make it a little wider. 1, 2, 3. There's the notch. Now we'll put it back together and see if it's if it lines up perfect. Okay, this is the test here, and see if we get it right. That should go in there. It's a little tight, but it goes in there. And as you can see, the holes here, that lines up perfectly, and it will go back and forth. So now we're going to make the little bushings for this and put the bolts in there and see how it works. What I've got here is a piece of 3/16 inch brass that's chucked up in the collet chuck, and it's already got a hole in it, and hopefully it's the right size because I can just go in deeper with it. Let me check the diameter of it. Okay. So that bolt measures 80 thousandths. It's a 256 bolt that goes through there. So I want to give it a little clearance. This is a number 44 drill, which gives it about 5 thousandths clearance. And that's basically what that hole is, but it's only in there a 1/16. So I'm going to run that in there so I can get 2 bushings off of that. It'd be like a flange bushing. Now I got to turn the outside down to be a little under 1/8, a little longer than 1/8. So I give it maybe 5 or 6 thousandths clearance, so it'll be 132. And I move this in 132 and set the stop. Go 132. That'd give me about 6 thousandths longer than the thickness of the 1/8 material. So that's 155, so I got to go in 20, I'm going to go in 10. Still 3 thousandths oversized, so we'll go in 3, 2, 3. Right on the money. 1/8 inch diameter. Part that off. The width of the head isn't too much. You can just eyeball it. I'm going probably 3/32, but oh, it's only 60 thousandths thick. It's less than a 16th. 25, 132. Reset the stop and make another one. We'll part that one off. We'll have it. Here and see how the thing works. I put the second one on, and when that's tight, this thing is still loose. So this should just go back and forth with hardly any pressure. It shouldn't bind at all. It should be nice and loose. And the tab has to stick in far enough to grab the other part, which we're going to make later. And if you can fit it at that time, but that's going to fit into a little notch on the other part. So that's it for number 13. We finished that part, and the next part we're going to make is the little rocker that goes from the governor to that part that we just made, the link, and it's a fairly simple part, and it has a little rocker thing that goes in the middle of the body of the engine here. So we'll make both of these parts. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel and be sure and give us a thumbs up, because that helps us a lot. Thank you very much.